Hello and welcome to this review of the clickified Dell Bigfoot, which I've christened the Clickfoot. A while ago I showed how to make a very nice linear keyboard out of a Dell AT101 by doing a linear mod, and I hinted that there is also a clicky mod for these switches. And I got quite a few requests for that, so by popular demand, here it is. First off though, let me give you a quick overview of what kind of mods you can do on Alps switches, just to eliminate any confusion. The thing that makes Alps switches tactile, clicky or linear is the leaf spring inside. If there is a tactile leaf, it becomes a tactile switch. If there's a clicky leaf, then it becomes a clicky switch. And if there's no leaf spring inside at all, it becomes a linear switch. So you can linear mod tactile and clicky switches simply by taking out the leaf springs. But the tactile switch can also be made into a clicky switch by modifying the leaf spring. But this only works one way. You can't change a clicky leaf to a tactile leaf. See, the way it works is the tactile leaf on the left has two extra tabs at the top, which are not there on the clicky leaf. These tabs keep the leaf spring in place inside the switch, so it can't be pulled forward to create a clicky noise. Essentially, it's an immobilized click leaf. Just to show what I mean, here is a shot of the clicky switch in action. Note how the leaf spring is pulled forward and then snapped back to create a clicky noise. So in order to make a clicky switch, you need to make it so that the tactile leaf in the black Alps can be pulled forward, just like that in clicky Alps. And then this is the result. First, if you haven't yet, go watch the video on the linear mod. I'll put a link to it right here and in the description. It shows you how and with what to pull the keycaps, open the switches, reassemble them, get the board working, etc. Anyway, what you're going to do is, you're going to open a switch, and then you're going to take out the tactile leaf. And then you're going to bend these four tabs here. This will snap them off cleanly. Note that means that unlike the linear mod, this mod is not reversible. Technically, you only need to remove the top two tabs, but they only become faintly clicky if you do a half mod like this, so I suggest you also pull the bottom tabs off. The easiest way to do it is to take some forceps, simply grab hold of a tab, and then bend it back. Like that, and snaps off cleanly. Do that to the other tabs. Like that. It's just sheer metal fatigue working here. There you go. So, and that's all four of the tabs snapped cleanly off with no damage to the leaf spring. After that, simply stick it back into the switch and reassemble. Just to give you a quick sound comparison, here I have a half modded switch with just the top two tabs removed, a fully modded switch with all four of the tabs removed, and an unmodified switch in the middle. Here, I'll compare them quickly for you. It should be fairly obvious that the half modded switch and the unmodified switch are quite similar. You can hear a bit of a click noise, but it's not super strong, whereas the fully modified switch is quite prominent. Personally, I figure that if you're going to make switches clicky, you might as well go all the way, but it's entirely up to you, of course. After you've done this to all the switches in the keyboard, or at least the ones you want to click mod, reassemble the switches, and there you have your very own Clickfoot. You can do this with other tactile Alps, such as orange and salmon switches as well, by the way. The only exception is lime Alps switches, also known as neon green, which have a quite different leaf spring shape that somehow doesn't become clicky even if you snap off all the four tabs. The ability of these black Alps to be tactile, clicky, or linear as you please really enhances their usefulness in my opinion, and goes to show how underrated the Dell AT101 has been all this time. Especially for a board this common and cheap, they were produced by the millions during the 90s. Some people have asked where I find these. Well, I'd say just look around you in thrift stores, flea markets, recycling centers, office buildings. I got a bunch from the university, and often you can pick them up for next to nothing. or even you just get gifted them. Finally, for the connoisseurs, you'll be wanting to know how they compare to other Alps switches, of course. So here I'll pull out my Chicone 5162F with white Alps. This was one of my first mechanical keyboards, by the way. Check out the video on it if you're interested. The feeling of the black clicky Alps and the white Alps is fairly comparable. As with all clicky Alps, they're more tactile than tactile Alps due to the way the leaf spring works. So even if you don't necessarily want a clicky noise but just want more tactility from your black Alps, this is a good mod. Because of the increased tactility, the drawn-out feeling that the stock black Alps normally have is pretty much glossed over, which is an enhancement by itself in my opinion. The sound is obviously quite different because the clicky leaves have a quite different shape and include a knocker at the back, which these click-modded tactile leaves lack. And the chassis and keycaps on the 8101 also impart their own spin on the noise. So here's what they sound like compared to each other. These are the click-modded black Alps. And these are white Alps. As for blue Alps, they're not as good as blue Alps. They just lack that little bit of extra finesse and smoothness that blue Alps have, and frankly nothing beats the typing sound that those make. They're good switches though. All in all, I'd say the click-modded black Alps are an improvement over the stock switches. Hopefully you found this video useful, and following is a typing demonstration of me typing on the Clickfoot.